Ladies and gentlemen, please find your seats. We will begin on time. Our graduates will enter our magnificent recreational field with the sounds of pomp and circumstance at 6 p.m. Please find your seats.
I'll put it right over here.
I think his name speaks for himself.
Can I take us off?
I'm a little biased. Yeah. I mean, he wanted to read something about it? I mean, something too not to have it? I don't think so. Only because he went to the program. I'm not in the program.
I see, Freda. I see. I see the difference.
I would probably say there are more than enough accolades, but the only one that's important.
You have to select Gary and myself? No. Or Gary. Gary.
Okay. Mazel tov.
Over here towards the end. We'll be sitting, I think we're sitting together over there. Over there.
Okay, Yitz. Yitz.
You take.
Yep, it's 5:59.
I got to move these things.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 22nd commencement exercises of the RKYHS Yeshiva High School Joseph Kushner Hebrew Academy. We are honored tonight to begin our program with the Star-Spangled Banner, sung by the internationally known, highly acclaimed Cantor Malavani, but perhaps his most important reason why he's here tonight is because he is Naftali's grandfather. Cantor Malavani, please rise.
Thank you. All together. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose both wide and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets had glare, their bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please be seated. Thank you, Cantor Malavani. That was spectacular. We have so much to celebrate tonight. The class of 2022 has demonstrated great resilience. They cohered as a class despite challenging conditions through different times during their high school experience. They have distinguished themselves in so many ways. And tonight we're here to celebrate the culmination of their high school and JKHA experience while we sit back with pride and take in joy and nachat from all that they've accomplished and who they have grown to be. And we are very proud of them. I'd like to particularly recognize tonight the RKYHS soccer team that brought us a beautiful championship while I was at a wedding. You're not clapping that I was at a wedding. I certainly missed that game, but let me tell you, we were winning that game from the moment that that ball dropped. And our soccer team played with such tenacity and teamwork, and that they demonstrated what kind of a school we are, with all of that power and energy, bringing it to every aspect of the game. And since we're congratulating teams, our track and field team deserves a great shout out for the second championship of this RKYHS school. This beautiful arrangement tonight is due to the hard work and the focus of Ms. Glacian, who spends many months planning for graduation and graduation ceremony, along with Ms. Statmarrow, who worked together on creating a memorable and meaningful senior dinner. We're grateful to them and to all of our faculty who assisted in this magnificent setup. A special thanks to Mr. Plotzker and Mr. Berger for taking care of so many myriad details to make sure that we're all comfortable, we're seated, and that we can enjoy tonight's program. You should know that we have over 800 people tonight here celebrating the class of 22. We literally ran out of chairs, and that was something as a tribute to this class. So now it gives me great pleasure to introduce the first speaker for our evening, Miriam Bash, who will share Dvar Torah.
Can you hear me? All right. Good evening, graduates, family members, and our beloved faculty. When you find a word in the Torah that does not seem to appear elsewhere, it causes you to stop and reflect on its meaning and purpose. This is the case we have with the word Baha'alotcha, which is the name of this week's Parsha and represents the instructions that Hashem gave to Moshe to give to Aharon upon lighting the menorah. Daber el Aharon ve'amarte elav, Baha'alotcha et hanerot al mul pnei hamenorah ya'iru shivat hanerot. Moshe, speak to your brother Aharon and tell him, when you rise up to kindle the lamps, the 7 lamps shall cast their light towards the center of the menorah. In what sense does the word Baha'alotcha mean to rise up? Rashi gives 2 possible explanations for what he calls this Lashon Aliyah. On a more obvious level, there was a step, a riser, similar to the one I'm standing on now, that Aharon would ascend before lighting the menorah. A more intriguing explanation is Rashi's insight that Aharon was required to hold the flame to each wick just long enough for the wick to catch fire and for a new flame to rise on its own. As 2 wicks connect, the light of one is shared with the other until the new wick can produce its own flame. This imagery is resonant and a personal reminder of the relationships that we have all formed throughout high school. I can recall countless times when my friends have stood with me through difficult and stressful moments, empowering me with the strength and giving me the fortitude to stand securely on my own. Our grade as a whole has continuously supported and encouraged one another over these past 4 years. We've given advice, lent each other helping hands, and collaborated to give back to our community. During these times, it never mattered who was in need. It was an unspoken covenant between us that everybody mattered and that we would all be there for each other. Similar to the wicks of the menorah, which stand on their own once they are lit aflame, each of us have been strengthened by the support system that our grade has provided us. As we diverge on our own paths, we will have been better people because of the bonds that we have formed and experiences that we have shared here at RKYHS. The Lubavitcher Rebbe teaches that this imagery from the menorah is a lesson in chinuch, that a parent or teacher should try to help the student come to a place in their studies at which he or she can then stand on their own and aspire to greater heights. Perhaps this is the fundamental lesson of the Parsha, to always be moving upward in our Avodat Hashem, in our character development, and in all aspects of our existence. On this point, I would like to express my immense gratitude on behalf of the entire class of 2022 to the RKYHS teachers and faculty for their unwavering support, dedication, and selflessness throughout the years. As we embark on the next stage in our lives, we must thank all those who educated us and who instilled Jewish and ethical values so deeply in us. It is thanks to you that we can now stand on our own and pursue our dreams. And to my fellow graduates, if I can leave you with one message, it is this: do not take the light of your Judaism for granted. The foundation of knowledge and sense of Jewish identity that our Kushner education has given us is an invaluable gift. As we step onto our college campuses and beyond, we must do so with unfaltering pride in who we are, with an aspiration to share the spark of Judaism and pass the flame on to others. May we continue to be the candles through which the light of Torah, mitzvot, and chesed are brought into this world. Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam, for sharing that beautiful message, a message which resonates with all of us, and particularly with the graduating class of 2022. We are to celebrate the class, but also we had an opportunity to celebrate every single individual student at senior dinner, One of the customs of our graduation process that begins in the early parts of May is to give every student an opportunity to be highlighted and spotlighted and amplified by a faculty member who knows him or her the best. And at senior dinner, organized by Ms. Glacian and Ms. Statmeyer, and particularly the senior tributes by Mr. Singman and Ms. Bachner, every member of our class has a moment where the entire grade recognizes, alongside of faculty, that student for his or her character, achievements, and overall performance within the RKYHS Yeshiva High School. So tonight, as we hear the speakers, and we know that there are individuals who are speaking, please know that you represent the entire grade, because what you say tonight embodies everybody's consideration. In fact, tonight, Miriam, your Divrei Torah really do reflect the tenets and the foundations of our mission, along with the help and the partnership of our community rabbis, who together we are building the future of Am Yisrael, one student at a time. Thank you very much, Miriam. And now for the graduation address, we invite Daniel Bank to offer his words.
No stool?
I wasn't going to say it, but it crossed my mind. You can say it.
Awesome. Thank you, Rabbi Rubin. Good evening. I'm truly humbled to have the opportunity tonight to address this crowd, filled with so many of the families and faculty who've shaped us. And respectfully, I'd like to address my comments to my friends in the class of 2022. Hey, guys. Well, it may feel like it's only been a couple of days since we walked into RKYHS with tan faces and locker drawers in September of 2018. When I look back, I see how all the experiences we've shared have built up to this moment, right here, right now. At this moment, I'm going to share a secret of mine. Some of you already know, and those who don't probably won't be surprised to learn, that every year, since I was a teeny kindergartner on the other side of those walls, right there, I've cried on the last day of school. My annual cry, while only slightly embarrassing, has always been a testament to the friends, faculty, and incredible opportunities each year presented us as Kushner students. Standing here now, reflecting on all of that, I feel tremendous gratitude. So before I go on, I'd like to ask for a round of applause for you, my classmates, and for our families and teachers who got us to this moment. Now, I will try not to cry. Graduation is a moment to look back. As we do, it's natural to focus on our apexes, achievements, and accomplishments. We think of the trophies we took, the classes we crushed, and the recognition we received. We have a ton to be proud of as a class. As we've been told since we got here, we're the largest class the school has ever seen. And while I tend not to be someone who places outsized value on size, as you can so clearly see, our numbers have always meant that we can collectively do more amazing things than anyone has done before. Members of this class helped earn the baseball championship banner we drove past every day this year on our way in, and just 2 nights ago led the way to the next championship on the soccer court. Yeah, you guys can clap. Come on, let's give it up for them. Members of this class won the 2020 Pitch NJ Shark Tank competition. And members of this class were awarded more National Merit Scholarship recognition than any class in recent Kushner history. Members of this class have been awarded Artist of the Week and exhibited their work in both virtual competitions and around the school. They've delighted audiences as Princess Jasmine and Troy Bolton and made lasting impacts by starting important initiatives like Bring Change to Mind and Kids Against Cancer. Let's not forget, we also built our own ping pong tables. We've had lots of successes. But what I want to talk about tonight is failure. In this season of celebration and retrospection, we tend not to focus on our failures and challenges, but they really formed our time in high school almost as much as our successes have. We don't think about the time we missed that potential game-winning shot, the time we couldn't fundraise enough money for a club we committed to, or the time we got a 22 on a test we studied really hard for. But these moments of fiasco, foundering, and failure, Rabbi Rubin, that was for you, these are ours too. Now, you guys know, I'm generally a pretty happy guy, so why would I go choosing something so negative as the theme of the graduation address? It's because if there's anything our high school experience has taught us, it's that things will not go our way. Our time at RKYHS has been anything but predictable. In fact, we've had plenty of challenges over the last 4 years. We lived through a snowstorm that stranded us throughout the community. We lived through a global pandemic that isolated us, covered our faces, and sacrificed our opportunities. We missed the Shabbaton, a Poland trip, multiple years of Battle of the Bands, losing access to some of Kushner's hallmark experiences. Hey, our bus stood us up 3 times over our senior trip. Yet, we stand here today, or I guess you guys sit here today as well, positive, proud, and full of optimism. We're grateful for the incredible gifts our years at RKYHS gave us, and the memories we created, some in spite of, and others perhaps because of the parts that didn't go as planned. We thrived, we achieved, we're happy. So how do we do it? What was it about these moments of struggle and disappointment that paved the way for our resilience, success, and growth? I think the answer lies in the power of adversity to do 2 things. 1, change our lens, and 2, find our people. Close your eyes. No, really. Think about a moment when you failed. That game you lost. That test you bombed. That no you didn't expect. Think about how you felt in that moment. Sucks, right? Now think about what you did next. You can open your eyes. Eventually, you got up. Maybe you saw a side of the scenario you hadn't previously acknowledged. Maybe you resolved to do something different next time. Maybe you grabbed a piece of chocolate, unless that's just something I do. You most likely leaned on someone, probably someone here, to cheer you up, to put things in perspective, to remind you that there's more to your story than this one moment. You made the most of it, rewriting the narrative to become something you can learn from, channeling that growth mindset we've been taught so much about here at Kushner. You learned how to be better at failing. Shlomo HaMelech in Mishlei writes on this idea, saying, Ki sheva yipol tzadik v'kam, u'risha'im yikashlu b'ra'ah. For the righteous will fall 7 times and get up, while the wicked will stumble and fail with evil. The differentiating factor between these opposite types of people lies in their approach on dealing with their challenges at hand. While the wicked may use their failure as an excuse to fail further, the righteous, who undergo the same challenges, choose to get up and see their challenge merely as a station to help them reach their final destination. That's the point of adversity. Our failures don't define us, but they do refine us. They force us to acknowledge the complexities of the world in a way that makes us more prepared for next time, not guaranteeing that we won't fail again, but enabling us to be more prepared when we do. They force us to stay humble, and they force us to rely on those around us for support, while we support each other. And, once again, similar to what Miriam had also said, no class can speak to this better than the class of 2022. During our freshman snow-in, members of this class offered up their homes, so fewer students had to spend the night in school. Over the course of the pandemic, members of this class found ways to virtually assist and uplift each other and celebrate the special moments, even if from afar. When the skies opened up on our outdoor kumsitz, members of this class kept on singing in the rain, making it a night to remember for all. And throughout our rigorous college application process, members of this class supported everyone through the ups and downs, regardless of personal outcomes, sending texts, wishing each other luck, and showing solidarity, both in celebration and disappointment. The other thing about failure is it means we tried. We went for it. Kushner is a place that motivated us all to reach for the next level every day, gave us the confidence to do so, and the support system to survive the times the outcome wasn't what we had hoped for. I will always be grateful for that. Guys, we weren't the first to fail. As we stand here today, ready to go out into the world, we feel the effects of the failures of those who came before us. We live in an era of tremendous economic disparity, gun violence, intensifying climate change, war, and perhaps, most tragically, a loss of respect for the ideas of others. If history repeats itself, we will blind ourselves to the struggles before us, fail to see them as a diving board towards opportunity, and force their burdens onto the next generation. It is up to us, the class of 22, to learn from the failures of our predecessors and use the failure skills we have honed here to recover. We have the obligation to begin to chip away at these issues, to transform the society we currently know. As I stand here tonight, not so surprisingly, with a few tears in my eyes, I have a ton of confidence that this class will continue to do amazing things. We will make our mark on the world as we have here. Each of you brings talents, motivation, and enthusiasm that will uplift, inspire, and impact your peers and the world around you. Keep doing that. Keep reaching for the next level. Take risks. And keep supporting one another. Be that person for someone here. And as you go off into your next school community, be that person for someone there. Let that be the legacy of the class of 22. We reach. We have the courage to try. We accomplish amazing things, and when we don't, we lift each other up. As we close out our senior year, I wish each of you many successes. But I also wish you the perspective to face your failures with resilience, with resolve, and with the responsibility to help those around you in the communities we will continue to build, both together and apart. Congratulations on reaching this moment. Go Cobras!
Go Donnie. That was fantastic as we process that profound presentation. Right back at you. We will be able to enjoy this propitious occasion. Okay, my friends, we are now ready for the conferring of diplomas. And it's really quite exhilarating and energizing for all of us in the faculty to hear these very insightful and these thoughtful presentations by our students that represent the greatest values that we have been explicitly and implicitly teaching and discussing since their earliest days. And this represents, I think, that the partnership and expectation that all of you had, you parents and grandparents, when you enrolled your children in JKHA, RKYHS. And tonight we all share in their nachat as they will rise one at a time to receive their diplomas. And I invite Mr. Gary Berger, Mr. Plotsky, Ms. Statmeyer, Ms. Stone to please join me here on the podium. This is a podium, and we will then be able to confer all of the diplomas. Please join us.
Rebecca Arian. Miriam Bash. Haley Billick. Alyssa Bobchin. Ella Jabali. Rebecca Dranikoff. Rebecca Dykman. Sophie Ehrlich. Sophia Eisenberg. Sivan Alicia. Ariel Filer. Danielle Felderman. Beth Glantz. Kayla Greenstein. Noah Hassan. Chaya Hirsch. Huvi Hershey. Linoy Hovav. Ruthie Eisler. Leah Jablanca. Maury Kaufman. Rivka Kesselman. Naomi Klein. Layla Klugman. Hannah Kopel. Dahlia Kushner. Emma Lando.
Congratulations, row 1. You may be seated. Row 2, please rise.
Ready? Eliana Langer. Kaylin Leibovitz. Amalia Loeb. Anna Margolin. Sorry. Maya Margolis. Dahlia Marin. Talia Minasha. Ellie Minsky. Mariah Needle. Callie Paleoff. Abigail Rosenfeld. Sheva Rothstein. Elizabeth Rubin. Lexi Spiegelman. Hannah Teitelbaum. Leah Tobal. Carmela Warshaw. Maya Weisberg. Emily Weotter. Michelle Zadok. Sarah Zarni. Shoshana Zeiger. Atara Zinkin. Jason Adams. Donnie Bank. Sammy Cohn. Brandon Dykeman. Chanoch Elkin.
round of applause for the second row. You may be seated. Okay, row 3, please rise.
Avi Grad. No, it's going to crap out. The batteries are going to die. I don't know why. Yeah. Yussi Heitlinger. Jack Halprin. Ben Huppert. Zach Jacobs. Dylan Klain. Nachum Klein. Benjamin Lando. Daniel Lando. Mitch Lebov. Naftali Malavani. Sammy Marilis. Ben Matthew. Good job. Matthew Mendelson. Natanel Miara. Gabe Nelson. Roey Novick. David Reich. Sam Rinn. Nate Savitz. Jacob Shapiro. Ethan Sinreich.
Samson Stone. Joshua Teisch. Zachary Younger. And Jacob Zuckerman.
Congratulations, row 3. Round of applause. Now we're going to continue. You may be seated. Thank you. But not for long. We're going to continue with the RKYHS tradition of Hakarat Tov. And in order to meet the tradition and the expectations of your faculty and your parents, we please ask the class of 22 to rise. Yes, again. Now, please make sure your tassels are on the left side of your cap. Yes, stay with me. There you go. Class of 22, please move your tassels from the right to the left. Now do it again. Now you are official alumni of the class of 22 at the RKYHS Yeshiva High School. Now, we're not finished. Graduates, please turn around, face the audience. And first, I'd like you to thank your teachers and administrators who have guided, engaged, and empowered you throughout all of your years in the Kushner Academy. Please give them a round of applause. Parents, grandparents, please acknowledge our teachers. Please give them a round of applause for their devotion and dedication for all the years that they have taught, inspired, and empowered your children. Now, graduates, please give a round of applause and express your hakarat tov to your parents and your grandparents who have nurtured you and supported you and loved you unconditionally through all your years of early childhood all the way through adolescence, and they have demonstrated to you their care and their deep belief in you as people and in your place of Am Yisrael by devoting their resources to make sure that you had a RKYHS Yeshiva High School education. Thank you, parents and graduates. Please thank them. And now, graduates, please sit down. It gives me great pleasure to invite the representative of the class of 2012, Jasmine Murati.
Thank you, Rabbi Rubin, respected rabbis and faculty, and welcome graduates, friends, and family. I'm honored and grateful to have this opportunity to come back exactly 1 decade after my own RKYHS graduation, although mine was nowhere near as beautiful as yours is today. Now, for all of you graduates wondering if you will be the student coming back here in 10 years, I can assure you that if you were to ask any of the faculty or alumni here today, they would not have expected of all the people from the class of 2012 that I would be the one returning to this stage. Let's just say I had my fair share of moments in Rabbi Rubin's office and detention lunches, but here I am. I'm fortunate to have been able to call the halls of JKHA and RKYHS my home for 13 years of my life. As a first-generation American myself, with 2 immigrant parents who had escaped Iran due to Jewish persecution, I realized from an early age that it was a privilege to not only walk freely as a practicing Jew, but to attend a Jewish day school immersed with both Torah and secular studies. From pre-K to 12th grade, my life was pretty simple. School, friends, eat, sleep, repeat. And let me tell you, those were the days. The days when decisions were pretty much made for me. What I did not realize until years later is that those decisions that were made for me during my years at JKHA and RKYHS would be the pillars that would support and shape every decision that I needed to make myself going forward. As I went through obstacles in my life the last 10 years, whether it was professionally, personally, or through relationships, I would stop and question, why didn't anybody prepare me for this? Why didn't anybody tell me about all of the challenges and tough decisions that are thrust upon you after high school? There's no class titled Life 101. They just teach you what they think you should know, like the Pythagorean theorem, and hope it helps you when you're trying to figure out what major to choose in college. I'm sorry to tell you that geometry class did not make that decision any easier. I was constantly perplexed by the myriad crossroads I needed to plow through and hopefully come out on the other side unscathed. As I continued to traverse the unexpected curves and detours in my young adult life, I realized that while it's true I did not have Life 101 on my class schedule, I had the wealth of experiences throughout my life that prepared me for prudent and pragmatic decisions based on knowledge and essential Torah values that were formed, nurtured, and ever so present in the hallways of Kushner. The speakers we had at assemblies, the kumsits and chagigas, the required chesed hours, the basketball games, the pep rallies, and yes, even Mr. Bryant's AP US History class had all been preparing me for what was yet to come. Yes, a personal finance 101 class would have been nice, or how to take out a mortgage, but nothing can replace SAT prep like our 8th grade word report. Thank you, Mrs. Bose, who still corrects my essays for me to this very day. Schoolwork aside, it was the mindset of young Jewish leaders who carved and crafted a Jewish life filled with respect, moral values, and the importance of humility when faced with life challenges. I walked through the halls of Kushner for 13 years, a young, impressionable girl, not realizing that I was absorbing the paramount skills I would need to face all of life's obstacles and roadblocks. If I could tell myself one thing when I was sitting in your seats as an RKYHS graduate 10 years ago, it's to make thoughtful decisions. Sounds intuitive, right? The decisions I made, whether big or small, are what made me the person I am today. The decisions I made until I graduated high school were oftentimes guided by parents or teachers. The first time in my life when I needed to make my own decision was regarding my post-high school life, what to do the year after graduating. The decision for what to do the year after I graduated Kushner was a difficult one for me, as I was torn between dedicating a year to my spiritual growth in Israel or starting my college career, which I was super excited for. This was my first crossroad. The Jewish identity cultivated in Kushner and then solidified in seminary for the year continued to shape every decision I made there on out. Whether it was deciding to live in the Chabad dorms in college or make my career decision based on the company who respected Jews and Jewish holidays, it was a decision I was able to make while leaning on the pillars upheld by my classmates and the faculty around you today. The reason I chose to reiterate this decision-making process tonight was not only to highlight the first decision I had to make for my postgraduate life, but also to illuminate that this decision was the foundation for all of my future decisions as well. The decisions you will make throughout your lifetime will not only shape your future, but the future of your loved ones, your family, your community, and hopefully even the world. I would venture to say that the self-reflection and emotional intelligence are what is required in order to choose your own path going forward. I say this not to scare you, but to embolden you to take ownership of your life. Yes, you'll be responsible for your mistakes, and you will make some mistakes. But that means that you'll also be responsible for everything that goes right. Growing up with a mother who is a teacher, who many of you graduates know, allowed me to have an inside perspective on the importance of people who decided to be in academia, the decision they made to give their life to educating the future decision makers of the world. When it's time to pick a major or area of focus in the upcoming years, my experience has been to listen to yourself. Speak to as many people as you can, get various perspectives, but make the ultimate decision yourself. Find something you find interesting and turn it into something you cannot live without. Make your life work and career decisions sparingly because you are 18 years old and Bezrat Hashem have Ad 120. Sometimes the best experiences in your life can come from the moments when you don't know what the right decision is. I went through the unsettling freshman and sophomore college phase of not knowing exactly what to major in until I finally decided on applying to the business school. Baruch Hashem, I was blessed enough to graduate from the business school and land my dream job at my dream company. Deciding to work at JP Morgan since college has been both rewarding and validating of my many preceding decisions. Graduates, over the next 10 years, you will encounter crossroads that you could never imagine or make up in your wildest dreams. The important lessons I've learned is to 1, take a stance, don't be neutral, respect yourself enough to pick a side. 2, be a contributing member to society, do not live in a silo. Look around you, learn around you, figure out what needs to be done, and do it. And 3, have fun in life. Don't be too hard on yourself. One of the best pieces of advice that I was personally given in the meeting with the CFO of a Fortune 100 company was to not hone in on decisions you have made, but for better or for worse, make a decision, go with it, and if you think down the line you made the wrong decision, guess what? Consider yourself lucky you learned not to make the same mistake next time. Although I would have loved to have that Life 101 class and learn from other people's mistakes, the only true way to move forward in your own right while creating your own life is to make your own decisions and sometimes even your own mistakes. As the eldest of 3 siblings who have attended Kushner, I can now say 10 years out that I'm grateful to my parents for providing us the resources necessary to make thoughtful life decisions. I'm thankful to Hashem that my parents were able to provide us the opportunities that they were not afforded. I'm thankful that although my father was not allowed to openly learn the Hebrew language in Tehran, I'm here today prioritizing my Hebrew and Judaic studies. Every generation in a family tree can look slightly different based on the decisions made by the preceding generation. Class of 2022, you graduate today from the Ray Kushner Yeshiva High School just as I did 10 years ago. You got yourself here, and you will take yourself through all of the coming moments in what I can only hope will be a joyous and fulfilling life. Class of 2022, congratulations on all of your accomplishments. The next 10 plus years will be a great ride. Lean on this foundation, continue to build on it, and good luck with all of your future decisions. Thank you.
Jasmine, thank you for sharing your perspective 10 years later, which is resonant and it's meaningful And it not only is a message that our graduates could take with them, it's all of us, and you can learn from you tonight, Red, and we're very proud. In fact, Jasmine, I could tell you, while you were sitting in my office back then, I knew that you'd be the 10-year anniversarian speaker. I had no doubt that you had it. Thank you. And a shameless plug for the current updated curriculum of the RKYHS High School. I'm proud to share with you, if you don't know, that we do offer a personal finance class. Yes, and you are welcome to come back anytime. If not enrolled, then at least help instruct it. So thank you very much, Jasmine. This year we are adding a new component to the exercises. There used to be a time when the adults of the community were called upon to respond to the threats or the concerns of the Jewish community. As so much has changed, this too has changed. We are now living in an era where our young people, our alumni, the class of 2022, will be the tip of the sword. They will be in the middle of the world of academia, which has certainly demonstrated over and over again their antipathy and animosity towards Israel and the Jewish people. We university presidents sit back and tolerate blatant anti-Semitism and anti-Jewish rhetoric while they are still proclaiming their commitment to the values of liberalism and democracy. Although most of our graduates will probably not encounter the pernicious influence of anti-Semitism, and the aggregate overall, the university campus today is a petri dish. It is the hotbed. It is the place where it is growing and emerging and ultimately will influence and impact the culture of the United States and beyond. So tonight, we decided that we also want to respond. We're responding by adding a presentation, one that we're very proud of. The RKYHS High School boasts of one of the largest, if not the largest, high school APAC delegation to the APAC conference, policy conference, year after year. That happens under the wise stewardship of Rabbi Kirsch, who inspires generations of students to engage in APAC dialogue from their earliest stages of their freshman year so they can emerge as mature and sophisticated thinkers as they graduate high school. So tonight, we have invited the co-presidents of the APAC group, Abigail Rosenfeld and Nate Savitz, for a call to action so that all of our graduates and all of you in the audience and all of our community will understand and hear how Jewish people respond to travesty and to challenge. Abigail and Nate, please rise.
Holy moly. Let's do this. The world is filled with dreamers and doers, people with passion, integrity, and tenacity who find their role and execute it. These dreamers and doers are vital, but what the world needs, and what I believe every RKYHS graduate has the ability to become, are dreamers who do. Perhaps the greatest Jewish dreamer, Theodor Herzl, shared his vision for a Jewish state on August 29, 1987, at the First Zionist Congress. After the conference, Herzl famously stated, "In Basel, I created the Jewish state. Were I to say this out loud, I would be greeted by universal laughter. But perhaps 5 years hence, in any case, certainly 50 years hence, everyone will perceive it." Herzl had the foresight and the fortitude to lay the groundwork for the Zionist movement that we know today.
And just as Herzl was a dreamer, David Ben-Gurion was a doer. As Israel's first prime minister, Ben-Gurion led the fight for Israel's independence and guided the young nation through years of economic troubles. He preached economic independence through Jewish labor and created initiatives such as the Haganah and the Histadrut to ensure Israel's defense and stability. It was Herzl's dream and Ben-Gurion's action that enabled the creation of the modern state of Israel.
The Jewish people's connection to the land of Israel is a religious and a cultural dream that traces back to our forefathers. In Sefer Bereshit, Parak Chaf Daled, Hashem promises Abraham an eternal right to the land of Canaan, saying, "L'zarecha etin et haaretz hazot." Moreover, the messianic belief of returning to Israel has become a generational aspiration. In every time in our history, our biblical connection to the land has created a shared longing to return to our roots.
RKYHS has fueled this dream, working to instill within us a connection to Torah and mitzvot, a dedication to the Jewish community, and a bond with that state of Israel. Through celebrating Yom HaAtzmaut, learning Hebrew, and studying Jewish history in depth, Kushner aimed to foster a strong and joyful connection to Israel. Seed speakers and seminars have shed light on issues facing Israel and the Jewish community, and has empowered us with knowledge and passion to confront these issues.
As presidents of our school's APAC delegation, we have had the opportunity to hear from pro-Israel speakers and work closely with our Congresswoman, Mikey Shirel, to strengthen the U.S.-Israel relationship. As graduates of the Ray Kushner Yeshiva High School, each of us have been given the gift, not only of a yeshiva education, but one which has empowered us to become the future leaders of Am Yisrael. As we graduate and embark on the next stage of our journey, we must acknowledge the harsh realities plaguing college campuses around the country today. Organizations like Students for Justice in Palestine have completely abandoned productive discourse and have begun utilizing demonizing rhetoric and classic anti-Semitic tropes. This wave of anti-Semitism is spreading towards unimaginable heights.
In preparation of the speech, I did a quick couple of Google searches. And so here are the results for swastikas on college campuses within this past month. On April 18th at Kent State University, a swastika was found painted on the walkway in the front of University Dining Hall. On April 22nd at the University of Cincinnati Chabad, the front lawn menorah was toppled over with the swastika carved in the grass just feet away. On June 3rd, at the University of Georgia, a swastika was carved into the front of the house where 3 Jewish students live. I can keep going on, but I think you get the point. I read headline after headline and immediately began to distance myself through thoughts like, these schools are so far away, no Kushner kid's ever been there, and it's just some symbol. But what did I do? I kept reading headline after headline, and so I think this is an example that will hit a little bit closer to home. A mere 40 miles from where I stand today, at Rutgers University, where 12 of our students of our class of 22 will attend, the Jewish fraternity house of AEPI gathered for their annual Yom HaShoah program. The members continuously read the names of Holocaust victims for 24 hours straight. At around 2 a.m., Jewish students were barraged with eggs while being called baby killers and terrorists. Sadly, this is the second year in a row where this occurred. It is very clear this issue is more than just a shape with a dark past, but a movement with hopes of harassing Jewish students and with delegitimizing the state of Israel.
Now, as our time at RKYHS comes to a close, we will no longer be in a bubble surrounded by like-minded Zionists. It is imperative to be a doer. Become an ambassador of your beliefs on campus. It is no longer an option to be silent in the face of hatred and adversity. It is essential for you to take your knowledge of Jewish history, your aptitude for advocacy, skills in conflict management, all learned here at RKYHS, to stand up for your people and the state of Israel. Our years at RKYHS have provided us with the dream. And now, we must use this dream to fuel our fight and stand tall as proud Jews and pro-Israel advocates.
Class of 2022, it only takes one person to rewrite this narrative. It only takes one person to be the change. Will it be you? Thank you.
Congrats.
That was empowering, enlightening, and energizing. And you gave us a call to action that all of us will stand and meet. Thank you for now and for future generations. And this is what the RKYHS Yeshiva High School stands for. Thank you. Every senior received How to Fight Anti-Semitism by Barry Weiss. We believe this is a critical book that everyone must read. And we are looking forward to how all of our seniors will process this information and own it and make sure that they could follow through on her recommendations and learn from her lessons. We thank Deborah and Dov Landau for sponsoring this book and the benefit for the next generation of Jewish community members as we count on you to continue the ongoing fight against anti-Semitism. And consistent with that, it gives me great pleasure and an honor to invite my partner in managing, running, and inspiring and engaging our students, Dov Landau, the co-president with Jeremy Halpern of the Joseph Kushner Hebrew Academy and the RKYHS Yeshiva High School.
Wow, what a beautiful day. Good evening. My name is Dov Landau, and it's my privilege to serve as the co-president of JKHA RKYHS. And on behalf of the entire Kushner community, I thank you all for being here tonight to celebrate the graduation from the Ray Kushner Yeshiva High School of our class of 2022. Graduating students, we are all so proud of all that you have achieved on your path to get here tonight. Many of you have spent over a decade on this campus, having entered as mere toddlers, while others joined us later in your educational journey. But regardless of when you came here, you are all part of the Kushner family and this incredible graduating class. As you may know, I have a special connection to this grade, which includes my niece Emma and as well my babies, Benjamin and Daniel. And as a result, I've known many of you since infancy, and I've had the pleasure personally of watching you grow into the impressive young men and women that I see before me. No one can claim that your time here was uneventful. We might think back nostalgically to the start of your high school career, when the world's focus was on simpler things like global migration driven by Middle East conflict, hyper-partisan politics, and the explosion of social media. But since that clearly wasn't enough to keep things interesting, your high school experience was marked by increased tension between global superpowers, a worldwide pandemic, and now a hot war in the Ukraine tugging the West into its vortex. But one thing that I witnessed during COVID was your powers of resilience. Despite its disruptive impact, you adapted, and you found ways to adapt and to thrive. You proved your ability to find your way through difficult situations. Remember that as you face the future. Don't be afraid of the unknowns ahead. Embrace the hurdles that life throws your way with confidence. Turn challenges into opportunities and continue to amaze us with your grit and creativity. You are leaving high school at a time of astonishing innovation. Around the time when you were born, Facebook was first launched to the public, and the use of video conferencing was completely foreign to most of us. Now, our nursery students are proficient in Zoom, and too many people focus more on their number of followers than their circle of true friends. Technology has made it easy to communicate with anyone in the world, but our instinctive pull back to in-person communications after imposed separation has reinforced the message that shallow and artificial interactions are not what really matters. There's a well-known theory called Dunbar's number. It holds that the human brain is such that it can only really have about 150 meaningful relationships. So we can't let ourselves get distracted by likes, tweets, and posts. Even 1 million followers doesn't add up to a single real connection. Spend your precious time wisely. Get involved in important institutions. Lend your voice towards efforts to move the world in the right direction and in support of the Jewish people and the state of Israel. You were each created B'Tselem Elokim, in the image of Hashem, and you were put here for a purpose greater than yourselves. Work hard to live up to your potential and impact the world and others in positive ways. You matter, and you can make a difference. It's a great big world out there, and it might seem intimidating, and it will sometimes feel challenging. But to quote Babe Ruth, Never let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. You have all the tools for success, tools that were given to you by your parents and by prior generations, as well as by the teachers and administrators here at RKYHS. And I personally want to thank Rabbi Rubin, wherever he is, as well as all the teachers and administrators here at RKYHS for putting their passion into serving all of our students every day. And on your behalf, I thank all of your parents and families who partnered with our faculty to help your development to this point. You will leave this campus to take many different paths, not only in the next few years, but in your lives beyond that. But wherever you go, you will always be a Kushner alumni, and you will serve as ambassadors of our school, our community, and of the Jewish people. We know you will continue to make us proud, and we are all so excited to see what you accomplish. Congratulations to the RKYHS class of 2022.
It's a good opportunity for all of us here assembled to recognize and to thank members of the board of the Joseph Kushner Yeshiva Academy, Reish Yeshiva High School, represented tonight so eloquently and elegantly by Dov Landau, for their tireless devotion and their partnership, their guidance, and their very wise governance throughout all of the years that our school exists. And in fact, this beautiful recreational field that you are sitting here tonight is a product of the vision of the board of around 11 years ago. And this is the way the school operates. It builds for the future. And we are grateful to you, Dov, as you step down as co-president. Although I've offered you another 4 years, I think you've turned me down. But we are looking forward to your continued engagement even after your babies graduate. Thank you very much, Dov. Before I conclude with my reflections and final remarks, just 2 or 3 announcements. We will convene for Tfilat Mincha immediately following the exercisers here, right here in the recreational field, under the Gladys and Sam Zal Halpern Amphitheater. And if you can, please hold on to your plastic bottles and deposit them in any of the garbage cans that line the exits. This way, our maintenance staff and administration and support staff won't be responsible for cleaning up the garbage bottles when you finish. Thank you. Seniors, you can leave your bottles here. It's okay. But you should finish them and leave them so you can walk out kind of with gusto. And April 1st, 1925 was a moment of great pride for the Jewish people as they were settling in Palestine. It was the opening of the Hebrew University. The organizers and the leaders of the fledgling, soon-to-be state invited Rav Avraham Yitzchak HaKohen Cook to participate in the dedication of the university. It was the crown jewel. It represented the revival of the Jewish people, cultural and academic, and demonstrated the aspirations that no matter how many hundreds of years in exile, the Jewish people would be reborn. Rav Kook accepted the invitation. He alienated the old guard in Yerushalayim, and he agitated the secularists, which was his way throughout all of his life in Israel. And he started his speech with the following verse from Yeshayahu. Raise your eyes and look around you. They have gathered and come to you. Your sons will be brought from afar, your daughters like babes on shoulders. Az tiri v'nahart ufachad urachav levavech. You will glow and your heart will fear and expand. Rav Kook questioned, how could this possibly be the same words in the same verse, that you will glow and you will experience fear. Rav Kook, while spotlighting this inherent contradiction, explained that with opening of the Hebrew University, explicitly his concern was about biblical criticism, but implicitly concerned about diluting and eclipsing the value and the potency and the power of Judaism by incorporating thoughts that may be leaning to the heresy. And Rav Kook warned the assembled that a university is a place for Jewish pride and not for a Jewish place of disappearance. Adjusting the language for contemporary society, Rav Kook was prescient then and he's resonant now. You see, students and our assembled guests, we live with a sense of conflict. On one hand, we are particularistic. We have our language, our faith, our values, our observance is dear to us. We are mi ka'amcha goy echad ba'aretz. We proclaim with pride that we are one nation in the land, and we are committed and devoted to Zionism and the state of Israel. But on the other side, we're also universalistic. We have Nobel laureates that we cannot even count. We engage in society. We contribute in any way possible. We share our knowledge, and we are interested and we are concerned about the trends that concern all of humanity. We don't isolate, we don't sequester. We are part and parcel, full members of the world community. And what Rav Kook was explaining and what we need to explain over and over again, that never should our aspirations for universalism eclipse our particular nature, our identity as Jews. When Yaakov started his mission, as he was leaving the land of Canaan, he dreamed about a ladder. And the ladder was Sulam Mutzav Arza Virosho Magia Hashamayma. He was deeply planted, firm. He was solid in his beliefs. He had taken the messages of his father and his grandfather, his mother and his grandmother on his way to Haran. It influenced him and it informed him. It gave him the structure and the direction. He knew he'd be engaging a much larger community, and his Rosho Magia Hashamayma and his aspirations were as high as anyone could see. But the Sulam was Mutzav Arza. It was always firmly planted in the ground. My students, we heard not long ago from Dara Horn, who wrote an incredibly important book, People Love Dead Jews. And the term that she introduced to you was Jews should not self-erase. When we want to proclaim ourselves with pride, we need to make sure that in any way it does not erase our own identity and affiliation and strength and our vibrancy towards Judaism and our Jewish community and our commitment to Torah and mitzvot. I'd like to read a passage from Barry Weiss's book, as she quotes Zev Maghain. Those who rather appealing and screaming choose to build, to educate towards cultural and national revival, to defy anti-Semitism, not with Jewish pleas, but with Jewish learning, with Jewish observance, with Jewish strength and Jewish achievement. Such are those who bring our people's survival and salvation into the future. Rav Kook, as we mentioned earlier, was fond of saying, "Hatzadikim hatorim einam koblim ala risha, ela mosifim tzedek." We don't complain about evil. We don't see ourselves as victims. We energize ourselves with our pride and our history and our commitment to Torah and our appreciation for the strength and the vibrancy of the Jewish people. As Rabbi Sachs says, non-Jews respect Jews who respect Judaism. And tonight, as we graduate the class of 22, as we look yet on another generation of our young Jewish boys and girls who will take their seats at every single table, we are filled with the pride that Rabbi Sachs speaks of. We are the words of Rav Kook that Einam Koblim ala Risha, we don't complain. We take a stand, and we demonstrate our pride in our people so that all of us can be inspired. So Rav Kook, Barry, and Dara, all saying the same thing tonight to you, graduates, are the message that I have for you, and I know that you will be those who will represent the Jewish people long into the future and will make us proud and give us nachat and strengthen us and embolden us and empower us long into the future, because we've seen you grow and develop, and we know the foundation that you have experienced. Thank you. And now I invite Naftali's grandfather, the world-acclaimed Cantor Malavani, to join me on the stage to conclude our program with Hatikva. Immediately following Hatikva, our graduates will exit both sides of our beautiful recreational field. And I ask all of our parents and grandparents, friends and families who are assembled here to please remain where you are until our graduates have exited the graduation area. Cantor Malavani.
Only Rav Kook, and I teach my students his book on Tefillah, which Rav Neria collected. So thank you so much. Thank you. Shall I turn this way? No. Kolot balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homiya ulefatei mizrach kadima Ein lezion Sophia Od lo aveda tikvateinu Hatikva bat shenot alepayim להיות חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון ירושלים להיות חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון ירושלים. Thank you again so much.